and the 2 shell cars of Dick Johnson were really in there. So it's all going to happen again. Let's have a look at the pole. Glenn Seaton sitting there because of the result of the first race. He was the fastest in official practice as well. Jim Richards now moves up on the grid this time round in Nissan GTR. Mark Scaife also there in his Nissan GTR. Dick Johnson in the Sierra.
Row 3, we've got John Bow in the Sierra from Pearson in the Commodore, Reed in another Commodore, and Wayne Park in the other Glenn Seaton Sierra.
There he is, young Glenn Seaton, the second time out, a win in the Sierra. Remember, he took a big punt when he left Nissan years ago now to set up his own team, and his second big win here at Eastern Creek on this Australia Day meeting. Historic meeting, really. Bikes, cars, drag cars to come, all under lights tonight. That'll be something else. But this race here we're looking forward to. The Nissan side by side to the Sierra. This time last year, of course, there'd be no contest. Different set of rules this time round. Look for Larry Perkins in the red Commodore, way back on the field, almost starting from the rear of the grid. And watch the big Commodore work his way through the pack. That'll be worth watching as well in this race. There's the red lights waiting to start. Any second now they'll go, and there they go. Jimmy Richards puts the power down. So far he's won the start. Glenn Seaton now goes down into another gear, but he'll win the start. Glenn Seaton, yes he does. Jimmy Richards forces and muscles his way through into second place now. And let's have a look in third. Dickie Johnson from Queensland in third in the Sierra.
Oh, well, so much for my prediction. It was a great start from Glenn, and when he got that turbo coming on, he literally outpowered the Nissans. But Jim doing a great job there around the outside of Dickie, and all over Glenn. If he can keep quite close to him now, he might even have a go down into the right-hander.
Now that's the view he has, looking at the blue Sierra of Glenn Seaton. There go the brake lights on now. Watch for Jimmy Richards. This, of course, is where they had so much success, passing Dick Johnson, trying to get on the inside. Can't there. Has to go around the outside, and so far, the long way around. Jimmy Richards closes up again as they go through the sweeper at the end of the straight. Richards tries to go on the inside. You can see Dick Johnson moving across to protect the line. Well, that's Johnny Bow. Johnny Bow moving across to protect the line. Now Jim Richards again puts his foot down. Can't do it, though. So Seaton again leading across the line for lap 5. Lap 5 of 15. Working away at the wheel there. And Johnson sitting in behind him. Johnny Bow sitting behind him. Then Jimmy Richards and Mark Scaife. And we'll try and bring you up to date with Larry Perkins in the red Commodore, because he is doing a fantastic job, Perkins, in car 11, fighting his way through from the rear of the grid now to be sitting in 7th spot.
All right, we might ask Jim how he's going if we're not going to distract him too much. Jim Richards, Alan Jones, how are you going, mate?
Good day, Joe. A bit difficult out here, though.
Mate, they're passing you down the street like the way you used to pass us last year.
I know, I really feel for you.
How's it going? I mean, you look fairly well set. You're on lap 5 now. Tyres hanging in, obviously, okay?
Yes, no problem yet.
The man we're just talking to there, you can see he just sits in the car. He looks so relaxed. I know he's not, but he does.
Oh, well, he is. I mean, Jim is actually very relaxed both in and out of the car. He really is a professional, Jim, and you know, if you were going to do a long-distance race in an expensive piece of machinery, you couldn't think that he'd be one of the best people in the world, not only Australia, to have in your car.
So Jimmy Richards, what can he do? He's watching the Sierras in front of him, sliding around and moving around. Does that give him heart to say, well, now maybe?
Yeah, he's got to exert as much pressure as he can, obviously. He's got to stay as close as he can. So when they start sliding and getting the back out under acceleration, he'll be in a position just to take full advantage of it. So he really has to stick as close as he can, which obviously he's doing. I'm just wondering whether Dick and John Bow have changed the compound of their tyres, because they don't seem to be going off at all. The car seems to be a lot steadier. It doesn't seem to be sliding around as much as what it was in the first race. So maybe they just chose a different compound of tyre for this race.
Here's Larry Perkins. Now, what a fine drive from Larry Perkins in car 11. He had to start from the rear of the grid after blowing an engine in the first race here and was running second at the time. This is an older model that he prepared for another competitor while the new car's being built for the season. He's done a good job with it. They've changed engines in not very much time at all, and he's moved up into 7th place.
Des, that's an interesting car. That's the Nissan, driven by Tim Grant. He's only 19 years of age, and he's one of these sort of... He's only 19, he's in there, he's doing everything right. He's doing a great job, and unlike the motorbikes, we don't have that many young up-and-coming guys in touring car racing. And I noticed during the bike races that you were making reference to the guys are 18, 17, 19, 20. And unfortunately, touring car racing in Australia doesn't have a great deal of that. And this is one guy, Tim, who I believe's got a very good future in front of him. As I say, he's only 19. And the car's interesting too, because it's one of the cars that's actually been overlooked by cams. Everyone else has been nobbled. Everyone else has had weight put on them or rev limits put on them or whatever. And that car hasn't. Now, that car was actually winning Australian touring car rounds only 2 years ago. And I'm sure with the right sort of backing and a little bit more development, that car could possibly be a front runner.
Good point, AJ. Very, very good point. One of the ex-Nissan cars, of course, from 2 years ago. OK, here we go now, going on to the final lap. Glenn Seaton still hanging on there, working away as he goes to this very, very quick left-hander. Has got Dick Johnson pretty well covered. Johnson's tried everything he could, threw himself at him early, then waited for a mistake. It didn't come. So Glenn Seaton, congratulations to you. Just hanging on now for the final lap. And he will be over the moon with this performance. It's been a long time between drinks. Seaton now winding his way around on the final lap. Dickie Johnson thinking, is there any way I can make a final lunge? But he's just too far away at this stage. Nice shot there of young Glenn working away. Johnny Bow sitting in third place. Had 2 shunts in the first round. Rebuilt the car back again. And sitting in behind the boss in third spot. And the 2 Nissans of Richards and Scaife back in 4th and 5th.
Yeah, that's a great drive by Glenn. He hasn't put a wheel wrong. He's driven very smoothly. Of course, you've got to drive Sierras smoothly because they transmit a lot of power through those skinny little wheels at the back. There he is taking the checkered flag. A great drive from Glenn, well deserved.
So Seaton goes across in his Sierra from Johnson, Bow, Richards and Scaife. That's how they finish 1 through 5 here at Eastern Creek. The second time round for the Group A's, and of course double points. Talking about points, let's have a look at the final placings of the points scores. Glenn Seaton in the Sierra, 60 points. Dick Johnson finished with 55. Jimmy Richards on 53. John Bow on 52. And Mark Scaife on 50. Top 5 for you, with Seaton getting the honours.